What weird game did you invent as a kid? Story 1. In elementary school, we used to play this absolutely brain-dead recess game called Clog the Pipe, which somehow sounded completely normal as kids and gets exponentially worse the older you get. The game happened inside one of those giant tube slides. One kid would stop halfway down and wedge themselves in place. Then another kid would launch down at full speed, trying to knock them loose. Usually, they'd just get stuck too. Then another kid came down. Then another. Eventually, the slide became this compressed human traffic jam of screaming third graders packed together like raccoons in a dryer vent. And then there was Big Mikey. Every school had a Big Mikey. Some giant child built like he got held back by puberty itself. He'd come flying down that tube slide like a wrecking ball with Velcro sneakers, and suddenly everybody exploded out the bottom at once. Pure chaos. Arms, legs, light-up Skechers everywhere. Honestly, it's insane. None of us got seriously hurt. Schools in the 90s really just watched children invent concussion physics during recess and went, builds character. Also, hilarious seeing how many people apparently did this exact same game. Human civilization really peaks at what if we became a cork. Story 2. Me and my friends were basically accidental LARPers before any of us even knew what that meant. One kid lived on this weird little mini farm with goats, llamas, chickens. Honestly, the place felt less like a backyard and more like the tutorial area of an RPG. His mom was the real MVP, though. She'd hide Ziploc bags full of Monopoly money all over the property, and we'd spend entire days fighting imaginary monsters trying to collect enough cash to upgrade our gear. Which sounds adorable until you picture a bunch of dirt-covered children sprinting through bushes, screaming battle cries at invisible goblins. I was the cleric, obviously. Not because I was wise or spiritual. I think it's because I found a stick first. Started with a regular staff, then upgraded it with duct tape, silver ends, then flattened Mountain Dew cans onto it like actual medieval crackheads forging legendary weapons in a recycling bin. And any time a car drove past on the road nearby, that meant water monsters were attacking from the river. So we'd come exploding out of the bushes, swinging cardboard swords at a passing Ford Taurus, while confused adults just kept driving like, nope, not getting involved. Honestly, though, the sweetest part is his mom. You can tell she understood exactly what she was giving you guys. Childhood magic on purpose. That kind of stuff sticks forever. Story 3. Every single kid on a long car ride eventually invented that imaginary little side-scrolling game outside the window. Mine was Super Mario 2. I'd stare out the window for hours, watching this tiny, invisible Mario absolutely hauling ass alongside the car, jumping over mailboxes, power lines, bushes, random signs, basically doing parkour through suburban America. And the rules kept evolving too. Sometimes he couldn't touch the ground for too long or he'd die. Sometimes every shadow was lava. Sometimes he had to grind on guardrails like Tony Hawk if traffic slowed down. Honestly, my brain turned road trips into a bootleg Nintendo level because otherwise you were just trapped in the backseat listening to your parents argue about directions for 4 straight hours. The funniest part is how locked in you'd get. One sudden lane change, and your imaginary dude gets absolutely obliterated by a tree because your dad took an exit too aggressively. And you genuinely feel bad for him too for like 2 seconds. Damn, Mario didn't make it. Then immediately respawn him because child brains are resilient little psychopath. Crazy realizing basically everybody did this. Human beings really saw staring out the window bored and collectively invented low-budget augmented reality before smartphones even existed. Story 4. Me and my sister invented this absolutely idiotic fight club called the Slug Wars, which sounds like either a banned medieval punishment or a low-budget sci-fi movie nobody finishes on Netflix. The setup was simple. You crawled backwards into a sleeping bag, so your legs were sticking out the head hole, meaning you were basically trapped in fabric like a panicked baked potato, and then you just fought blindly to the death, apparently. You couldn't see anything, couldn't move right, couldn't breathe after like 30 seconds because somebody always farted in the sleeping bag eventually. Yeah, warfare gets ugly fast, so it turned into pure chaos. Just feet kicking everywhere, people rolling into furniture, somebody screaming. I got his rib cage while punching a pillow by accident, and every round ended the same way. One person trapped upside down, wheezing for air, while the other claimed victory like they'd survived Vietnam. Honestly, insane behavior for children. We really looked at normal games and said, nah, what if we simulate humans suffering indoors? Also kinda comforting seeing other people remember slug wars. Feels like finding fellow veterans from the dumbest war ever fought. Story 5. When I was like 8, me, my brother, and my best friend invented this nightmare fuel game called the Dark Man game, which in hindsight sounds less like a children's activity and more like something detectives discover mentioned in court documents. It was basically hide and seek in my parents' unfinished basement with all the lights off. And whoever was it had to wear this glow-in-the-dark Skeletor mask so you could see his creepy floating skull face drifting through the darkness while he himself was basically blind, which honestly made it worse somehow, like seeing a glowing death head slowly turn toward you while you're hiding behind a water heater trying not to breathe. Absolutely traumatic. And this basement was not safe at all. Exposed nails, random tools, concrete floor, probably asbestos casually floating around. I don't know, it was the 90s. Every basement felt legally questionable. You'd be sneaking around quietly and suddenly slice your shin on something sharp while trying not to scream because the Dark Man was nearby. The craziest part is how serious we took it. Full tactical movement, whispering, heart pounding. Meanwhile, if an actual adult saw us, they probably would have shut the whole thing down immediately and called a therapist. Story 6. When the Addie American Girl doll came out, me and my friend got weirdly invested in her stories about escaping slavery. And because children are absolute chaos goblins with zero understanding of optics, we started playing what we literally called the slave game. And somehow, the adults around us made it worse. Her dad found out, and instead of stopping us immediately like a reasonable human being, he leaned in and started assigning us authentic chores for realism. So there we were, two aggressively white little girls folding laundry and raking leaves, thinking we were method actors in a historical drama while our brothers sat nearby eating Dunkaroos, roasting us non-stop. The funniest part is when her brother finally pointed out, you know, only black people were slaves, right? And we both had this full existential crisis in the driveway. Like the game mechanics completely collapsed in real time. But instead of stopping, oh no, we invented lore. Suddenly, there were witches, curses, Freaky Friday body swaps, secret missions helping slaves. Basically Marvel Cinematic Universe levels of retconning just to keep the game alive. Honestly, childhood imagination is terrifying. Kids will rewrite the laws of reality before admitting a game doesn't make sense anymore. Story 7. My grandma used to run what was basically a low-budget medieval punishment disguised as a children's game. She had these insanely huge balls of yarn sitting around her house, like 4 feet wide, yarn thick enough to tow a truck with. Absolute grandma cryptid behavior. And she'd hide one of our toys dead center inside the yarn ball, wrap it back up tight, then toss the thing into the backyard like she was releasing livestock. The goal was getting the toy out without using our hands. So, she'd literally tie our hands behind our backs while me and my sister hurled ourselves at this giant yarn planet for hours like tiny, desperate raccoons. At one point, we developed actual strategy. My sister would hold a stick in her mouth, shove it down the back of my shirt, and I'd clamp onto it with my butt cheeks. Yeah, sentence of the year right there. So I could act like some kind of human forklift and pry yarn loose, which somehow worked sometimes. And after all that suffering, if we failed, Grandma would come outside smiling all smug, grab one loose string, and unravel the whole thing instantly with one pull like a magician revealing how stupid we were. Honestly, icon behavior. I miss her too. Story 8. We used to play this game called Spotlight, which was basically hide and seek if hide and seek got drafted into military service. Everybody would put on dark clothes or camouflage, because apparently we all thought we were Navy SEALs at age 12. And then we'd scatter into the woods at night waiting for whoever was it to come hunt us down with a flashlight. And let me tell you, standing motionless in the forest at night changes a child psychologically. Every sound suddenly becomes life-threatening. A twig snaps, death. Wind moves one leaf, definitely a serial killer. Half the game was just trying not to panic because somebody's flashlight beam swept vaguely near your tree. People got insanely competitive too. We had kids army crawling through mud, hiding in thorn bushes, laying flat in freezing grass for 40 minutes just to avoid getting spotted. Meanwhile, somebody's mom is inside making pizza rolls, completely unaware her son is reenacting Predator in the backyard. The funniest part is how tactical we thought we were. Whispering plans, using hand signals, moving undercover. Bro, you are 11 years old, hiding behind a trash can, wearing your dad's hunting jacket. Calm down, Captain Price. Honestly, though, elite childhood game. Terrifying, mosquito-infested, probably unsafe, perfect. Story 9. I used to be absolutely addicted to tournaments as a kid. Not sports exactly, just brackets. Any bracket. Best chips. Best animal. Most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse. I would read those things like sacred religious texts. Meanwhile, other kids were outside building social skills, and I was in my room at 4 a.m. ranking my classmates in imaginary double elimination combat scenarios. During summer break, I'd stay awake until sunrise, listening to sports radio, like a divorced dad named Rick, just running fake tournaments with people I knew. I'd write everybody's names into these massive brackets and flip coins to decide winners. First round was best of 5, later rounds got longer, losers bracket included, because apparently I believed in fairness and psychological torture equally. And the embarrassing part? I tracked stats by hand, winning percentages, seed rankings, historical records, basically ESPN. If it was operated by an unsupervised child with insomnia. I still have notebooks full of this stuff in my parents' shed somewhere, which honestly feels like the origin story of either a sports analyst or a serial killer. Real thin line there. Story 10. My family had this absolutely ruthless road trip game called My Horses, which sounds wholesome until you realize it basically turned every car ride into psychological warfare. Anytime somebody spotted horses, they had to scream, "My horses," before anyone else. And count however many were in the field. That number became your score. Simple enough. But then there was the kill shot. If you spotted a graveyard first, you could yell, "Bury your horses," and everybody else's points got wiped back to 0. Entire bloodlines ruined instantly. So if my brother spotted like 12 horses near a farm, the whole car suddenly went silent, scanning the horizon for cemeteries like desperate bounty hunters. Forget family bonding. We were hunting emotional destruction at 65 miles an hour, and this game permanently rewired my brain. I still instinctively yell, "My horses," in normal cars sometimes. Did it once with friends during complete silence and scared the absolute life out of them. 1 second we're vibing, next second I'm screaming livestock counts like a man possessed. Honestly though, elite road trip game. Real tension, real stakes, mild religious undertones for some reason. Perfect childhood nonsense. Story 11. We used to play this game called the bomb game, which sounds either extremely illegal or like a rejected Wii Sports minigame. It was basically just everybody hurling a ball at each other at dangerous speeds, and if you got nailed, you had to collapse dramatically onto the ground for 5 seconds before getting back in. That was it. That was the whole game. And somehow it turned every family gathering into Lord of the Flies with lawn chairs nearby. Me, my sister, and our cousins used to play against the uncles. And honestly, we absolutely destroyed them. I don't even need official scorekeeping to know that. Adults underestimate children fueled by Capri Sun and unresolved competitiveness. We move like caffeinated squirrels. Then eventually all the uncles and my dad started joining in, and my youngest uncle switched to the kids team claiming he played bomb game in high school, which is still one of the funniest lies I've ever heard. My younger cousins believed him too, like there was some varsity bomb game league with scholarships and scouting reports. Meanwhile, he just wanted permission to beam dodgeballs at his brothers guilt-free. Honestly, the saddest part is realizing those games quietly stopped one day. Families really don't warn you when the everybody together era ends. 1 minute it's chaos in the yard, next minute it's just stories. Story 12. Me and my cousin genuinely believed we discovered a secret diamond stash buried in the neighbor's yard, like 2 tiny crackhead archaeologists. We kept finding these shiny little diamond-shaped things scattered around the dirt, and instead of asking a single adult question, we immediately went full criminal mastermind mode. We'd sneak into their yard, digging holes with sticks, and our bare hands thinking we were uncovering hidden treasure. We even had rules about secrecy. Don't tell the other kids! Don't tell your parents! Meanwhile, we're out there committing tiny felonies over decorative garbage. And we were dead serious about the money too. We already planned our future. Lamborghini, obviously. Because every child thinks wealth immediately equals Lamborghini ownership. Like, there are no taxes, paperwork, insurance. Nah, just pull up to elementary school in a neon supercar driven by 2 idiots covered in mud. Then one day my mom found one in my pants pocket and casually asked if she should throw it away. Throw it away? I remember being internally devastated. Like, excuse me, mother, that's generational wealth. Turns out it was just chandelier glass from the neighbor's trash. I've honestly never recovered financially or emotionally from that reveal. Story 13. Hide and seek in the dark was basically every kid's first experience with tactical warfare and mild psychological trauma. We used to play in my parents' basement with all the lights off except for one flashlight, which immediately turned my brothers into wannabe FBI agents, kicking open doors dramatically for no reason. Meanwhile, I was out there playing chess. My favorite move was hiding on the stairs after they already came downstairs to search. Absolute galaxy brain strategy. There wasn't even a real hiding spot there either. I just flattened myself against the side like some terrified basement gargoyle while they wandered around with the flashlight looking everywhere, except the stairs because we already checked there. Idiots. Beautiful idiots. And watching them walk back and forth right in front of me trying to solve the mystery was the funniest thing in the world. I'd be holding my breath so hard my lungs started negotiating with God. One cough and the whole operation collapses. Honestly, dark basement hide and seek always got weirdly intense though. Every little noise sounded haunted. Water heater kicks on, heart attack, floor creaks, demon probably. Somebody brushes against an old winter coat hanging in the dark, and suddenly the game turns into a survival horror movie made with a budget of $12 and sibling paranoia. Story 14. We used to play this recess game called Hunger Games because apparently elementary schools just let children absorb dystopian media and immediately weaponize it into cardio. There'd be like 15 of us standing in a giant circle in the field waiting for someone to yell, 3, 2, 1, and then everybody exploded in different directions like startled deer. The rules were absolute chaos too. Sometimes there were dodgeballs in the middle, and if you nailed somebody with one, they died, or fine, got out. If we're pretending teachers approved of any of this, tagging counted too. But if you touched each other at the exact same time, mutual destruction, honestly more balanced combat mechanics than some actual video games. And then came the nightmare phase. Once only a few people were left, all the eliminated kids came back as zombie super soldiers that needed double touches to take down survivors, which meant the ending always turned into 5 exhausted kids scream running across a field while 10 dead children hunted them like undead tax collectors. The craziest part is how seriously everybody took it. Alliances formed, betrayals happened. Kids sacrificed themselves strategically. One dude hid behind a trash can for half a match like he was in actual warfare. Recess really was just tiny humans inventing battle royale games before Fortnite made it lame. Alright, these childhoods were honestly chaotic as hell, and I love it. Drop the weirdest game you invented as a kid in the comments because there's no way these were the only unhinged ones.